Before we get started today, just a quick disclaimer that this episode had some technical difficulties. And towards the end of the interview, it does get a little blocky. The audio came out fine. So if you want to go listen to it, you can find it on Apple Podcast or Spotify, or you could stay right here and continue to listen or watch. The video does go through. For most of it, it just does have some technical difficulties towards the end of it. Without further ado, let's swipe over and get started. Welcome to Mad Props. I am your host, Chris Schnabel, and today we have Billy West, legendary voice actor joining us. You may know him as Fry from Futurama, Bugs Bunny in Space Jam. He's done everything. He was the Red M&M. We talk about that. You're going to love it because he's the man, and he is an absolute legend in that space. So you're not going to want to miss it. Stay right there to listen to that. Before we get started, make sure you subscribe to us on all platforms, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, everywhere you get your podcast. You're not going to want to miss anything. We started going live with old episodes. So we just go live and it does 7 hours of old episodes. So you can see old episodes there. You can kind of jump in, join the conversation there. You can also find new videos. We did a mic'd up at Comic Palooza. That's not anywhere else other than YouTube. So you're going to want to go to YouTube to find that one. Also follow us on social media, everywhere you get your social media, TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, all that stuff. We're posting every day. You're not going to want to miss anything there. So go follow us there as well. Before we get started with all this, I host a podcast called the Crosstown Nine. It's all about the New York Yankees and baseball. And joining me today, before we get started, is my co-host, John, which I'm pointing to, hopefully. Don't know which way you're sitting. You're over there somewhere. He's over there somewhere. Just keep pointing. And today, we're not going to talk baseball. We're not going to talk Yankees. But we're going to kind of keep it sports-oriented to start this thing off. I texted him about 2 hours ago. We did record right before this, so we'll say an hour ago. And I said, come up with 5 hot takes and bring them into recording. No context other than that.
Yeah.
Just get 5 hot takes and bring it into recording. So he said he's got 5 hot takes. I have a couple of them. I don't even have 5. I have a couple of them, though. But the difference between mine and yours is I've had these written in my notes for a long time. I've been waiting for this episode. Before we get started with all that, why don't you introduce yourself a little bit? Yeah, I have them saved up. I have receipts. Why don't you introduce yourself to everybody, tell them a little about yourself, and tell them a little about the Crosstown Nine podcast.
Yeah, I'm John. I'm a fellow Yankee fan. I've been following sports. I think that's the main part of Crosstown Nine, obviously talking baseball. Primarily Yankees. Try to throw in some Mets there to represent New York.
We've tried.
Yeah, I've been a fan of all sports. Try throwing them. It's hard. It's hard to throw in the Mets. Yeah, I've been a sports fan all my life, so it's been fun doing that with you for the last couple months now. Stay-at-home dad, so I have the time sometimes. But yeah, man, no, it's awesome. I'm happy to be here. I'm scared to do the hot takes, mostly because of I'd said it to you before. I was like, you texted me like an hour before we were supposed to record, and I was like, I have to now actually force myself to think of hot takes. I usually just throw them out into the ether.
You just have
and
them.
just stir the pot somewhere. So putting me on the spot was hard, but I like to think that I got some funny ones.
I wanted to text you. I said no pressure on it, but I wanted to text you, no pressure. Just Mad Props has about 2,000% more listeners than Crosstown Nine. But I actually didn't want to put any pressure because I wanted you to come up with good hot takes.
Yeah,
I was going to say, no pressure, but there's about 2,000% more people are going to listen to this. But no pressure whatsoever.
And then we were walking back, too. I was about to get home, and I was on my phone, and my wife was like, are you looking up hot takes? I'm like, I'm just trying to get my brain moving and try to think of things. I'm like, what do people debate? It's like,
I haven't even started. I'm doing a crossword puzzle. I'm trying to get my juices flowing before I can go. I need my brain.
I'm trying to remember how to talk, how do words work.
Well, I thought of this idea because I was listening to a video when I was on a run. I went for a run today and I almost died. I had a cold towel on. I had water with me, and it was still so incredibly hot that I almost passed out right there. I did 2.5 miles. It was brutal.
How hot is it?
It's a lot better. So yesterday of the day of recording, I went and played 18 holes of golf, and it actually wasn't that bad. It was hot because it's going to be hot here. We're in Houston. Sun's blazing. But I think the weather's a little different. It was I told you I saw you very recently and I was telling you how it was like hard to breathe and like you can't go outside. I'm starting to think that was because of that tropical storm that was coming through because it's still hot and it's still humid, but you can actually breathe outside now. Also, they went and did treatment for the mosquitoes. The mosquitoes actually in my county were so bad that it went to the county state of emergency because the mosquitoes were that bad and they were carrying diseases and all this stuff. So they went to a state of emergency. Since I've gotten back down to Houston, it's been pretty good. Not too hot. Well, hot but not too hot. It's been a little breezy, and these mosquitoes have been gone. But I did 18 holes of golf towards the end when the sun went down. I mean, you can't ask for more perfect of weather. 80 degrees, breeze going, no sun in the air. It was amazing. But when the sun was out and I was like really moving, I had to stop a couple times in shade, drink water, put the ice. I started carrying an ice towel with me, and I put it on my neck, and then it melts a little bit. I put it on my head, then I wring it out, and then I just put it off, in my pocket or something like that when it's all good. So hot. To answer your question,
Yeah, hot. I bet.
It's hot.
If it's hot by me, it's gotta be hot by you.
Yeah. But while I was doing this, it was a song of one hit wonders. And there's a band that's considered one hit wonder all the time. And it really frustrates me because they are definitely known for one song, but they've had multiple hits in their time frame. They're not hits anymore, right? Like they're only known for one song. But in that time frame, they had multiple hits in big, I think they're all animated. They're like Nickelodeon movies, but they had them. They had the hits. They were out there. My hot take is the Baha Men are not a one-hit wonder. They are an era band. They're not a one-hit wonder, though. They are strictly an era band. Now, everyone knows them from Who Let the Dogs Out. That is obviously the way people. First of all, do you know the Baha Men consists of like 9,000 people? It's insane. If you go look at their Wikipedia, it doesn't show you the members. It says click or list of members, and you have to click there to go to a separate page that shows you. And then the scroll rolls out, and it's like, here are all the list of people, but they're like this giant band that like brings people in, out all the time. Anyway, so they have that. But in the late 90s, early 2000s, they had multiple songs that were like hit songs. They had Move It Like This. You can move it like this. I know that's probably not their song, it's cover or whatever.
Wow. Yeah.
But that was them that had it. And then they had another one that I don't remember exactly how the song went, but it was like, tell me if it'd be okay if I say you got it. You're all that. Like they had that one.
I think I know exactly.
Yeah, you know that one too,
I know what you're
right?
About. Yeah.
And then they had Best Days of Our Lives. Oh, makes me want to dance. Oh, it's a new romance. And then it's Best Days of Our Lives. That song. Those were all hits in that time frame. They are not a one hit. That's three outside of Who Let the Dogs Out that I just said to you. That's 4 hits in that time frame. I'm sure if you go through, you can find other ones that were big in some way, shape, or form. They have another one that was charted. It was a Crocodile Rock cover. I'm telling you, it just grinds my gears that's how they're going to be remembered. It's great for them because the song still gets played, but they're not a one hit wonder. They have multiple hits in their time frame. I will give you time to rebuttal.
That is. I was not prepared for you to bring a Baha Man as the hot thing. What are you talking about? But that's fair. It's always interesting talking about one hit wonders and everything because I feel like so much goes into it. Especially like I feel like a lot of people that are international, like you hear one song from here and you think one hit wonder, but they're like huge stars
somewhere else, like
in Europe or somewhere
Psy
else.
is one of them. Psy does Gangnam Style.
The Gangnam Style, yeah.
Over, I think he's Korean, right? Like wherever he's from, like if you see the concerts that he puts on, there's like millions of people there because he's such a big star over there.
Yeah.
He also is not a one hit wonder, by the way. He had that. He had a couple more. He had the one with Snoop Dogg that went pretty big, and then he had Mata Gentleman. He had multiple ones in the U.S. as well. All right, but that's not my hot take. Not my hot take.
I was about to say we can dive into this conversation about one hit wonders.
There are no one hit wonders. None of them exist. You know who was a one-hit wonder was Eddie Murphy, but we're not going to get into that. He had one hit. It was "My Girl Likes to Party All the Time." That was Eddie Murphy. Not a lot of people know that because they're like, "That's Eddie Murphy." Anyway, continue.
You can clip that and say Eddie Murphy's one hit wonder and do numbers.
Well, I can't say that because he has the song with Michael Jackson that was pretty big too. So technically, he got two hits. He's not a one-hit wonder either. I don't know if I can name an actual one-hit wonder. Can we name an actual one-hit wonder?
I would have to go through so many different artists to try to figure it out. I guess,
he's trying to
is your
figure out the
definition of one-hit wonder quite literally just one hit and no other music?
Well, it can't be no other music, right? Like, because everybody has more music. No, there are people, I'm sure, that like Zendaya put out a song. So I wouldn't call it a hit, but she put out a song, but it's only one song. So like if it was a hit, then yes, you would literally be a one-hit wonder.
Yeah.
But there are some like my thing with the Baha Men is multiple songs have charted. Like,
Gotcha.
The one may have gone number one. I don't even know who the dogs that went number one. I think it's more of a one-hit wonder because today it's still like a big song. But if you go like, that one's significantly higher views and listens. But the other ones like were I think they're more of an era band that had one song that lived on rather than just strictly a one-hit wonder, which everyone just calls them a one-hit wonder because of that one song.
That makes sense. I agree with that. I think that's fair.
Yeah. I just need to give. So I know what's funny is there's two things going through your head right now. One is I didn't realize we're going into Baha Men, Eddie Murphy territory, and the other one is my hot takes are nothing like this. I can already tell. Like my hot takes are completely different direction. So I'll let you give your first one here.
Maybe one. When I want to look at what's my least serious hot take that I have on here.
I do have another one that I've been. These are two. This is one I just created, and then I have one I've held on to for months. So I'll let you go. But if you need time to think,
you really hold on to your hot takes.
No, this one I've had for a really, really long time. Like I'm talking, I've had this one for like 15 years.
So I'll stay on the topic of music, because one of the first hot takes that I thought of was music, and it's because I've always said it, that I think Beyonce is overrated. Like I'm not a Beyonce fan. I know there's the Beehive and all that stuff that might come after you, but I'm not a Beyonce fan. I've never been a Beyonce fan. And I know obviously she is who she is. I just have not. I've always thought she was overrated. As an artist.
I don't think. I guess you could say that, but I think with pop artists, you can say that about almost all of them, especially the big ones. Like you could say that about Taylor Swift, but like, do you really think she's overrated, or is she just overrated to you? Beyonce has some. I'm not a big Beyonce listener either. Like I don't listen to her a ton. We are based in Houston, so I have to say your take is wrong. But because if there's a beehive, this is the central. This is the central part.
Very true.
No, but I think with especially pop artists, you can think they're overrated because no matter what, they're going to outgrow their own catalog. Like they're going to become bigger than their music, and anyone that becomes bigger than their music is going to be looked at as overrated at a point. So like Beyonce, Taylor Swift, people like The Weeknd might get there. Bruno Mars can get there. Like they kind of become bigger than their music. Bruno Mars kind of fell back a little bit and then came back because he came back with Anderson .Paak and does that whole thing now. But I could see where your opinion comes from. I can understand it because I'm kind of in the same boat of I'm not a big Beyonce fan either. But I think anytime you have a fan base that's going to be that into somebody, you're going to think they're overrated because no one can ever live up to that except for like maybe like Michael Jackson and the Beatles. Right. And there are people that think the Beatles are overrated.
You see that in sports too all the time, right? Like you see the LeBron MJ debate. You usually get tired of it.
Yeah, it's the same thing. Like they're so big, they're bigger than their own sport. Like LeBron right now, like LeBron's not bad by any means, but he's not LeBron anymore, right?
Yeah.
But there will be people that will still want to rank him as like a top 10 player in the league. And it's like, is he really top 10 player in the league? Probably not. But because he's LeBron and his fan base is so strong, there's always going to be those people that are ride or die for him. So
sure.
I agree, but at the same time, I think there's a reason behind it. That was a good one. That was mine again is going to be completely in left field. Yours is like a base it up the middle. Mine is like a foul ball off of someone's face. So
You hit the ball girl
all right.
left field.
All right. So I've had this one for a long time. And that's because my grandparents had a dog named this.
Oh god.
Lucy is now strictly a dog's name. I there's no Lucys that are humans anymore. Lucy was a big name for humans, like 50s, 60s, 70s. Like Lucy is in the Peanuts, and like I think
I'm
Lucille
trying to
was
think
like
if I
much
know
more
Lucy.
common because it comes off of Lucille, right? And Lucille's not really a name, but like
Is that what it
with
comes off of?
dogs, it's a very common name still, and I think it's now transferred from being a human's name to strictly like how like Rex is like mostly a dog's name now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Interesting.
Lucy is now, and this is 15 years ago I had this opinion, but Lucy is now strictly a dog's name, and I wanted to see if you thought that or if I'm just being an idiot.
I'm like now trying to think if I know any Lucys,
You probably don't.
and I don't think I do.
I don't think there's any famous Lucys, and none that I could think of. I guess I could look really quick. Um, let's see. Well, Lucille Ball is the most famous Lucy, but like I said, 50s, 60s,
Yeah.
right? Lucy Liu is probably the most like recent one.
Isn't there a movie called Lucy? Am I also just making things up?
No, you're probably
Yeah, with Scarlett
not.
Johansson, Lucy.
Yeah, but it's fictional. It's
Yeah,
fictional.
it is
I'm
fictional.
talking real Lucys. I don't know anybody else on this list. That does not mean they're not famous or not big, but I personally don't know anybody else on this list. So it's a hot take or a hot opinion or just a really stupid one, but Lucy is no longer a human's name. It is now strictly a dog's name. How like Rex or like Rover.
Do you have an opinion on pets being named human names?
Some of them are weird.
Like
Like
what?
my dog's names are Sadie and Brady, which
But like
Brady is
a cat
named
named Todd.
after a cat named Todd. You should be checked out by like a psych ward if you named your cat Todd. Like if you're naming it after somebody, like
I was
that's
gonna say
one
if it's
thing.
not like obviously like name it after an actor or
Yeah, like Brady
or
is named after Tom Brady. That's 100% what it is.
yeah,
Brady
like
is named
I
after
get
Tom
being
Brady.
like name it after
If you,
after
I
an
don't care
athlete.
if you love like if you love Todd Frazier, keep it Yankees. If you named your animal Todd and not Frazier, like it should always be the last name.
Yeah.
Unless they are only
A dog named Frazier, I would see. A
I
dog
can
named
see
Todd
that a Todd.
leads to
I'm
more
like,
questions.
we need to start listing our house. we can't live here. The neighbor's cat's named Todd, and the dog is named Jim. I'm like, all right, and they're talking to him, like, hey Todd, what are you doing today? It's like, all right, yeah, I talk to my dog too, but this seems like you're trying to talk to another person. And make sure the blinds are closed whenever we're home. I don't want him looking through and seeing what we're doing. I don't trust this guy. That's what I get out of an animal named Todd. So yeah, no, that is no. I just no. I have nothing else. There, just a no. You don't have
Fair,
to go
I'm
like
on
classic
six.
names. Like it doesn't have to be named like Rover or Cuddles or whatever. But like
Nicknames.
human names on dog, and the opposite too. Like you shouldn't be a human named Rover. Like, I wouldn't trust that either. But it's not
Yeah, I don't
you.
think I
I
would
wouldn't
trust
trust.
someone
It's
if
your
they came up
parents.
to me, like a grown man came up to me and say, "I'm Rex."
Well, it's almost like
And that's their like their name. Like it's not short for anything. They're just Rex.
Well, that's another one. Like Rex. Like, well, what does it stand for? Like,
yeah.
What's your last name? Like, I don't even know if Rex has an extended. I think Rex is just Rex. It's not like Rexinold or something. It's not a long name or anything like that. I don't think I gave you a chance to get your last one in, or a last one in. I know you have a bunch of them, but
all right, if we're having just fun with it, let me not do my serious sports ones.
This is always fun. What are you talking about?
my hot take. Now I don't know. I'm just so thrown by all these hot takes.
I should have given you a little more leeway coming in.
Thanksgiving turkey is actually really good. People just don't know how to cook it. I love Thanksgiving turkey if it's cooked right.
So what's
and by
what's
that I mean
right?
if I cook it.
If you want everybody to come to you to cook their
if it's cooked by me, I approve.
Just come to my house. I'll cook your turkey. It's gonna be great.
That's it.
Trust
Start
me.
handing out turkeys.
What qualifies as a well cooked turkey to you?
Well seasoned, moist, ready on time.
Ready on time.
Ready on time. I hate waiting on a turkey and it's dry.
I could say it. I could see that. I shouldn't say always. I like Thanksgiving turkey now. As many of the listeners, if you're returning listeners, I went through big weight loss. When I was bigger, I did not like the turkey because of being dry or just not really being great. Now I want the turkey to be cooked correctly, almost to the point where I'd rather buy it cooked than cook it myself. But because that is more of my favorite part of it. So yeah, I don't know how hot that is. I think it's not the cooked right part. I think the hotter take is that it's better than people think, because a lot of people don't like the Thanksgiving turkey until the next day when they're putting on a sandwich with mashed potatoes and all this other stuff and making this giant sandwich that you could just. Also, here's a better hot take coming off of that. Just make a new plate. Why are we making the next day's sandwich? You're just taking all of the ingredients and putting them into a sandwich.
Yeah.
Just make a plate. Why are we making the sandwich?
I usually do another plate. I usually don't do a sandwich. Well,
my take is that the Thanksgiving Day sandwich is stupid. That's my take. The Thanksgiving Day, the post-Thanksgiving Day, which I guess is the Black Friday. Is it called the Black Friday sandwich?
The Black Friday sandwich.
The Black Friday special is stupid. That's my...
Just a turkey sandwich.
Just a turkey sandwich. You're just throwing a bunch of other... put it this way, all right? If you went to a friend's house and they were like, "Oh, you hungry?" You're like, "Yeah. You know, you want a turkey sandwich?" You're like, "Yeah, I'll take it. It sounds great. Turkey sandwich. That sounds amazing." And they came back and they gave you a sandwich
sauce,
and cranberry sauce, stuffing, mashed potatoes, and mac and cheese. Put on a sandwich and served it to you. You would be like, "All right, one thing, I'm going home. Second thing, lose my number because I'm not being friends with you no more." Like, it's only good for that one day. They're like, "Todd, I love this sandwich. Why do you think he doesn't like this?" And then you go home, you're like, "Hey, close the blinds, lock the door, and if the alarm is not on, it should be on every time we're not by the door. I gotta make sure we're good here." You catch John on the Crosstown 9 podcast, part of the Schnabel Studios Network. Search Crosstown 9 wherever you get your podcast. And you can also find them on social media. John, thank you for being here. Coming up next, we got Billy West. Don't go anywhere. Stay right here. This is Mad Props. Billy West, thank you so much for being here. Really appreciate you joining the show. For full transparency, rejoining the show. You were nice enough to come back, and we really appreciate that as well. How are you doing today? How's your day going so far?
I'm not bleeding from any holes, so I must be doing okay.
You've done so many iconic voices. I love Futurama. It's one of those shows I go to constantly, so I kind of want to get into some of that. So you started on radio back when you first were going, and that's kind of where you started your voices. When you got to radio, what made you want to do those voices? What made you go up to that kind of platform to do stuff like that?
Well, radio was becoming a wasteland slowly, and FM radio was one of the last places where they had some progressive people that weren't looking for a formula per se. They allowed people to do their thing, people that were talented. They hired talented people, and they let them do their thing. And I got together with people that were funny at a station in Boston, and a couple of guys wrote, one guy produced, and when I came in, it was just a natural thing for me to want to, read the material or write material and for myself and do the characters.
I feel like New England or like Northeast radio was really like the trailblazer in radio. You hear like a lot of the bigger names, and a lot of those stations are some of the most nationally known stations. You know, you've been on Howard Stern in your
Yes.
career, but like that seems to be like the hotbed for radio, especially in that time.
Well, it was a big station. It was the flagship station of Infinity Broadcasting, which was a huge radio chain. And they took chances, and it paid off because people loved it and they listened, and we were different from everybody, that was going by some sort of micromanagerial formula.
That's usually how big time things happen, whether it's a TV show or radio, right? It's like someone's willing to take that chance, someone's willing to push the limit, and then
Mm-hmm.
10, 15 years down the road, they're just like major or historically one of the greatest things because they took that
Yes.
chance. Where a lot of companies are like, we need to stay buttoned up, we need to stay here, but taking that chance
Yep.
brings you here, and you don't know where it's going to bring you after that. So it's yeah, I think creativity thrives when people are willing to take chances for sure.
Well, everything
Sure,
is
it helps with
no.
you.
Everything is no. Nobody ever got fired for saying no.
What made you want to take that leap from going from radio to doing like actual voice acting? Like what made you want to go into the voice acting in the first place from radio, and then what made you actually get into it full time?
Well, it was a logical progression. I mean, that's the kind of work that I was doing in radio. It was voice work. It was writing commercials. It was reading them. Then they'd go on the air, and I got to play around and do creative commercials with a couple of different people. And this was even before that. Before I worked with Howard Stern, and then I was auditioning for everything, all over the place, everywhere. And Nickelodeon asked me to audition for 2 cartoons back in 1991, and one was a sweet, a very sweet show called Doug, and he was a painfully shy 11-and-a-half-year-old. You know, he lived in a fantasy world, and he had a bad kid, that bedeviled him. Yeah, Funny, you liar! Quit lying to people. And then at the same time, the audition for Ren and Stimpy came along, and I did both at the same time. And I was originally supposed to do both voices for Ren and Stimpy. The guy that created the show, John Chris brought me up to Nickelodeon, which was in the MTV offices in Times Square. And we had to put together a voice tape really fast before he went in. And I did both voices, and when he came out, he said, "Congratulations, what you did just sold the show." And so when he decided he was going to do the other character, I really didn't care because I was elated that I had a job doing cartoon stuff.
And when you got into those, like, were they just like, all right, I finally have it, like, let's go? Or did you see the success that could happen behind these shows before you even getting into them?
No, you never know what's going to happen to something, even when you're in the middle of it. You don't know how it's going to land. You don't know how it'll be perceived. You can just follow your instincts and do the absolute best to your abilities, given that opportunity.
Did you enjoy more of the shyness of Doug or the screaming of Stimpy when you were recording them? Or were you just happy to be able to do both of them? Like sometimes you can be a little more laid back and sometimes you can get out that aggression.
No, I liked it all. There was nothing that I didn't like. I mean, I wanted to do those things for a long time, and I had imagined myself, getting into that business. And one thing led to another, and it's all about auditioning. If you want to work, you got to audition. So I was doing every audition that came up. You have an agent that tells you that this corporation with a product is looking for a voice for their commercials, and you go and you audition. Yeah.
Speaking of products, you did two pretty famous commercial characters. You did the red M&M, and you did Buzz from the Cheerios commercials. Were those
Yeah.
right after Nickelodeon? Were those more into like the late '90s? When did you get those opportunities, and how did those opportunities come? You auditioned? Did somebody say, "Hey, you'd be great here"?
They all happened at the same time, ironically. The Honey Nut Cheerios Bee, they were auditioning people, and I went down and I got it. And then M&M's was looking to revive their ad campaigns with a new look and new voices. And I went in and auditioned probably 3 or 4 times for that, and finally got it. And the other guy that I wound up working with is just an incredible actor. I even knew it back 33 years ago when I first saw him, J.K. Simmons, who plays the yellow M&M.
Yeah, amongst many other things now, and it's
Oh
funny
yeah,
if you told people now, like, yeah, it was the red M&M and J.K. Simmons was the yellow M&M. I feel like people would be like, "You're kidding! Like, there's no way those were the two guys in those commercials," because it's just, you guys have had such a legendary career since then.
it's so funny.
So that happens all at the same time, and then the next part's Futurama, which I know you from a lot of things, but like I said earlier, that's one of my favorite shows, one of my go-to shows.
Thanks. We all thank you.
How does that come about? How do you get into that one, and what's the audition process like for Futurama?
In 1998, I remember reading that Fox was going to do a new show um, called Futurama, and Matt Groening was the guy that created it. And I thought, wow, that's going to be something, you know? I mean, I was already a fan and in awe of the guy. And I got a call to audition for it, and they were looking for, only 2 characters they wanted me to try out for, actually. And I tried both of them, because I was prepared for those. But at the last minute, they also pulled out Philip J. Fry, which I thought had been cast, but Matt Groening just wanted to see what I did with it. And turns out that they really liked, what they heard. And next thing you know, I was starting to record episodes, and I was nothing but excited. I'm still as excited to this very day.
When going in for Fry, what was the voice you wanted to like give him? You knew he was a pizza delivery. You knew he's like this teenager or this 20-something-year-old that like
Yep.
is trying to get his life together. Like, what was the voice you're like, this is how he should sound?
Well, I wasn't that deliberate. I just had to come up with something fast. I pulled something out of my ass at the last minute, which was I tried to sound like what I sounded like when I was 25 years old. And I was all whiny and nasally and complainy. And I was in a band, and oh shit, I broke a string. Now what am I going to do? And I was all over the place. And I was a project for a girl. Why do you have to wear your hair like that? Why don't you fix your shirt? And so kind of needy, but my heart was in the right place, and that's what Fry is. And he's a perfect match for Leela, as it turns out, because she's strong and decisive, and she sees that his heart's in the right place. That's what she loves about him.
What does that character like mean to you now, all these years later? Like you said, you kind of put you into it, like what you thought you sounded like. So now going back on it, what does that mean to you now?
It means that people saw something honest about it and saw something pure that they could relate to, and it was disarming. And he's funny, whether he means to be or not. He's funny, and I think that's what attracted people to him. He represented a lot of people.
What about some of the other voices that you've done, like Zoidberg and Professor Farnsworth? How did those voices come about?
Um, they showed me a picture of Professor Farnsworth, and they told me he was really old, and he was like 147. And I just thought about what it would be like to be like that. You'd probably be jittering, so old, trying to hold yourself up. And his voice was a combination of all like old mad scientists and magicians and wizards, and that kind of thing. And it's like, who needs courage when you have a gun? And he's cranky. And Zoidberg, since the way he looked was he was biggish, so I thought I would give him a lower voice, and he had all this junk hanging off his face, and I said his speech would probably be impaired a little bit, but I didn't want to make fun of anybody per se. So there were a couple of actors in showbiz periphery from years and years ago, guys that had these marble mouths, and there was a couple of them. One guy was George Jessel, and he would say he was an old comic, and he was, the definition of a smart ass, a fella that can sit in an ice cream cone and tell you what flavor it is. And that's the kind of humor that they were doing in those days. But I was more interested in the way he spoke. And then there was a guy, an actor from Yiddish theater named Lou Jacoby, who was in the movie Arthur, the first one, and he just leans in and goes, "What's it like to have all that money?" And these guys talk like this, and they sounded like first generation New Yorkers, at the turn of the century. Um, you know, um, uh, Shopkeepers and business owners, and hardworking people starting out in America, and a lot of humor was created there.
Which cancellation of the show, because it got canceled a bunch of times, was the
hmm
hardest for you because you thought like, oh, this time it might be actually it. This show might be done.
Every time I thought it was done, it's what you come to be like. You don't um, bemoan your fate because some company decides they're going to do a certain thing. There's nothing you can do about it. But the fans were excited to, be part of the thing, and I think they had a campaign online eventually to bring the show back, and I always thank the audience for that. They brought it back a few times, just because of their reaction to it, and we're still recording now. I've begun to record the newest season, and the latest season that's already done is going to play in August, um, and that's going to start on Hulu. And I'm excited. I know what I'll be doing at least for another year. So
And when that came back, you got that call saying, "Hey, we're coming back again. Hulu picked us up." What was your
yeah.
excitement in that moment? How'd you feel when you get that phone call?
Well, Matt Groening called me and he just said, "Good news, everyone." And I said, "No, really?" And he goes, "Yeah, we're going to do the show again." And I was like, "I can still do the voices." He goes, "I know you can."
Is that something that you were able to keep in touch with, like closely over time as well, Matt Groening, and even with the cancellations and all the years in between? Do you guys still stay really close?
Um, as close as you can be to coworkers, I mean, I love the whole cast. I try to, keep in touch all the time with everybody. And whenever we get a chance to do something, like tomorrow night, we're going to meet up and go to a Fleischer Cartoon Festival at the Fine Arts Theater in Beverly Hills. And, we'll get to watch these old cartoons together, which is always an amazing thing. They're fully restored, and it's Popeye cartoons,
Yeah.
old ones. Yeah, the really good ones. And, you know, we'll be
Well,
there.
you were in a lot of really good ones as well, and you also played a lot of those characters. I mean, they definitely have a place in your heart because you've done Popeye, you've done Elmer Fudd, you've
hmm
done Woody Woodpecker, like a lot of those people from that era. Does that come from seeing them so much and being like so growing up with those types of cartoons, being able to put on those kind of characters later in your career?
Well, yeah, that was the first stuff that I was exposed to when I first was watching television and saw cartoons. That's what was around. It was three channels. That's all. Black and white television. They would go off at 11 o'clock at night and wouldn't come back on till 6 in the morning. And it was like a magic box to me. I'm sorry, excuse me. It was like all my friends in the entire world lived in that little box in the corner of the living room, and and I was tuned in sonically, listening to everything all the time.
When you go to conventions and stuff like that, I was able to meet you at a convention as well, and people come up to you and you're doing the voices for them, or they tell you like how much impact this character had. How does it feel to have so much positivity brought to people through the creations you've done, through the voices you have done, and the characters you have played, and to get that in person, like someone coming up to you and saying that?
Well, I realize, and I realized it a long time ago that that's really the reason for doing it, is that it made people happy, made people that might have been going through a bad time take a break from it and feel relieved and have a laugh. That's the real reason, and to inspire other people, that might think that they want to do something like this. I try to be, inspirational with the work. Um, I think that when the people come up, I mean, it's overwhelming, and I'm so appreciative. I love doing the shows, the Comic Cons. I chat with everybody. I love meeting people and talking to everyone, and they uh, it's it's such a great thing to know that what you put out there was being received in such a positive way. So I'm nothing but grateful all the time. Fortunate.
Yeah, I've had some people that have come on this show and talked about conventions and like they first started going like 2019, 2020, but their work was maybe 1998 or 1999. And one specifically, Tab Murphy, who wrote Atlantis and Hunchback of Notre Dame, has come on, and he said I would go my whole career just thinking I wrote a bunch of flops because that's what the numbers told me. That's what the newspapers told me. And then he said
Yes.
around 2019, he starts going to conventions and he has thousands of people lining up at his thing telling him how much that movie meant to him. And he's like, I'll
Yes.
never stop going to these conventions because you see firsthand how much this stuff means, but you actually see the successes of what you've done firsthand because these people are coming up telling you how much something meant from 20 years ago, from 25 years ago
Well,
that you might have just written off as like whatever.
well, that's the thing that matters the most, is how it affected people. And then when you find out about it from everybody, it's a wonderful thing. I started doing Comic Cons when there was only three of them in the whole world, and I was the first voice guy to ever be booked at a Comic Con convention, because they didn't see what's the point. What do we need with that for. And they started to see the lines that people came out to see who did voices in these shows that they like, and then all of a sudden I told my friends about it. I said, you guys, you got to go out and meet these people. They know more about you than you do. You'd be surprised.
It shows the growth of voice acting as a whole, like I'm even from when you started to now, where you're saying you're the first person to go out to any convention, and now there
Yeah.
are conventions specifically for voice actors. Like you go there
Mm-hmm.
to see voice actors, especially with the rise of anime. Anime voice
Mm-hmm.
actors are very big in a lot of these things. It just really shows the
Oh
growth
yeah.
from the beginning to the end of like
Tremendous.
nobody's going out. What's the point? To the whole thing is just voice actors because everybody wants to go see them and again hear the voices in person that meant so much to them.
Yeah, that's about the size of it. And the other thing is that when shows first started becoming popular, one city would see the success going on in another city. Like they just had 300,000 people on the weekend come there from even other states, and then they were like, well, we don't know if we want this element in our town, and the usual.
Yeah.
Got to grab them kicking and screaming into the future. Come on, get with it. And then they then they were like, oh, I see, okay. And so then everybody wanted to have a show, not just one a year, not just in the summer and spring, but all year round, multi times.
a lot of the bigger conventions now, like the fan expos and stuff, they actually like collecticons too. They travel, like it's a brand. Fan expo is a
Yes.
brand that goes to Philly and then goes to Orlando and then goes to Houston, and that brand will travel. And it's not always the same people. I know like collecticon I know has a lot of the same people. I don't think fan expo usually has a lot of the same people. But it's now become a brand of like, this is a comic convention you can go to that's going to come to your city or the closest major city to you, that's all connected into one thing. It's crazy. It's almost like the rise of film festivals. Like when it first
Yes.
started, they'd be in LA and there'd be like maybe one or two here, but then one in a random city blows up, makes this city, puts it on the map.
Yes.
And now I've seen film festivals. I used to do documentaries, and I would apply to a bunch of them, and there were some I didn't even know these towns existed, kind of things.
Yes.
They have a film festival here. I didn't know this was a place, and it's almost
Absolutely.
the same thing you're seeing with conventions. It's like you said, there's only three. What was the third one? You got New York and San Diego. What was the third comic convention?
Atlanta.
Oh, okay.
And then
Okay.
and then there was Chicago after that.
And then it just kept moving to the big
then it
cities.
just it took a period of about 20 years, so there's got to be about 600 or 700 shows in the world. And I'm going to Europe this fall, going to Dublin, going to Edinburgh, Scotland, and to Wales in the UK to do shows.
That's overseas and Europe. I've been told are really big places for voice actors and actresses to go to. They just are treated really well there, but also fans go nuts over all of the different people that come in. I feel like everyone that's come on is like, my favorite place is the Netherlands or my favorite place is Ireland, because the festivals they have there are just so great and the people are so great out there.
Yeah, I've had nothing but beautiful experiences at those shows. And, people are the same at the shows. They're all really, really good people. They're, there isn't a narcissist within 50 miles of one of those places. There's no toxic masculinity. There's no misogyny. Everybody's an empath. So what? You're on the spectrum. You're a little bit awkward here and there, but I mean, they have compassion. They have the qualities that society is beginning to lose at light speed. So these people give me hope. They're the ones that will last through all the craziness. I think all the other people, as they go crazier and crazier, are going to start canceling each other out.
Like we were just talking about the World Cup and how crazy it gets there. It's like events like that just make everybody else, people that even aren't involved in that, I feel like it expands out to the people that aren't involved in it. But it's a whole thing. I'm going to go overseas as well this fall, and I'm extremely excited to meet some of the different people, see some of the different cultures out there, because I'm someone that was never able to travel just from work and life. I was just never able to. So being able to go over there, I'm super excited, because like I said, the people that have come on here, friends that have gone over, nothing but great things to say about the people over there. That's actually the thing I'm most excited to, is I'm going to be interacting with a lot of people, and I can't wait to interact with people over there and see people over there. And yeah, it's like you said, 3 shows here is how it starts, and now you're going to different countries for the same reason, to go to conventions and things like that. So that's amazing. When you're at a convention and someone comes up to you, what's a character someone says that they love often that you just surprises you either every time or surprised you the first time, that you wouldn't think is someone that meant so much to somebody, whether you thought the show got bad reviews or whatever it might be?
There was a cartoon that I barely remember, and I barely remember doing the character because I was in and out of there, and that was the first and last time that I was there. And it's this character that for some reason people remember. It was a show called The Kids Next Door, and there was a character number 14, I think it was. And people ask about him, and I go, "You'll have to tell me. You'll have to tell me about him, because I never saw it." Same with a show called Rayman. I never saw that, It was a video game, and it got to be popular, and the characters became iconic 20 years later. But I was in and out of there.
What are some of your favorite things now that you see from the birth of animation and voice acting to what you see now in animation and voice acting from the humble beginnings to where it is now?
I've seen some really talented people. It makes me happy, to know that the business is in good hands. There's a lot of great people that I see that are actively working and online. You can see them. A lot of energy and creativity going on.
I tell people a lot because I've had the honor and blessing to be able to talk to people like you or Carlos Alazraki, Rob Paulson, like a lot of great people. That community is like such an amazing community I'm not a part of it as a voice actor, but I get to, I still interact with a lot of these people. It's just such a good community. Everybody in it is so nice, and everybody in it is so about, like we talked about at the conventions, about the person coming up, about the person that loves the voice, about the person that it meant something to. Like,
Yes.
just all these people, like you said, you've met a lot of great people or seen a lot of great people going through it. Like everybody that's in it is such a great person.
Well, I know everybody of the people you're talking about. They're all my best friends, Robbie Paulson, Jim Cummings, and Carlos Alazraki, and Richie Horvitz, you name it. I've worked with them, and I love them all. I hold them in high esteem, and I have a great deal of respect for the craft.
Yeah, I've had times where I go to a convention and somebody that's come on, I just go to meet them. That's one of my favorite things to do in this podcast is if we meet online, being able to go up to you later in life and just like meet you in person or like be able to talk to you outside of it. It's just something I love because I just love connecting with people. That's the whole reason I started this whole thing is to connect with people.
Of course.
I just have been blessed to it's just been blessed to have people like you on after that. Like it started with people that were in my circle, and now I'm able to talk to people from every walk of life. But my favorite part is when I am with somebody and they're like, "Oh, let's go talk to this person," and then like Rob Paulson brings me to Tom Kenny, and like that's amazing for me to talk to Tom Kenny. Or Carlos wants to bring me up to. The funny thing with Carlos, he wanted to bring me up to anybody that would talk to him, which I just thought was so sweet of him. Like he was like, "Yeah, let's go to Cedric, and then let's go to Darren Norris, and then let's go to here." But he'd always like, "You should go on his podcast." And that's one thing I don't like doing. I don't like being like, "You should come on." Like that's not what you want to hear at that moment, especially at a convention.
But I'm sure that they're happy to hear that, and they're happy to accommodate.
I'm also happy to hear because that means when he came on, he would actually go up and say you should go on. It would be worse if I came out like, remember me, and they're like, oh yeah, you. That would be bad. But also if they didn't want to do that, then it would be like I must have left a bad impression on them, and that's something I don't want to do. That's something I don't like to do because you give up your time or they give up their time, and you come on and we want to have a good time. But it really does warm me that whole community. It's like it doesn't matter who it was, if it was Catherine or if it's like I said, Carlos. They all want me to meet everybody else because everybody's connected to each other. It's like you got to meet this person. You're gonna love this person. So I said. Love the voice acting community. I love the voice acting community. You guys are amazing. Everybody in here is amazing.
Thank you.
So I wanted to bring you on because you have a book coming out, Vice Versa. It comes out July 14th.
Yes.
And it's about your life. It's about your upbringing, all this stuff. What made you decide now that you wanted to write this book?
I don't know. I'm going to be 80 in 6 years. I figured I better start writing. I wanted to write a autobiography because I've had such a varied life that was rough and tumble in the beginnings. I had a horrific childhood. It was just like, just like a horror movie, drama, craziness. And, but, I think about it and I go, I had to go through all that stuff. Otherwise, I wouldn't even be able to sit here and talk to anybody. I mean, I'd had to go through it, where it's bad, good. If 2 seconds of that timeline was any different, I might not even be doing the same career. So it all has to happen, and you can't regret it. But I learned that by writing about it and having such a hard time. There was no word for neurodivergence in 1950s. No one ever heard of it. No one knew what it was, and I was struggling, always struggling in school, struggling to understand things, and it wasn't tolerated. You know, I mean, my father used to be really hard on me. He was, he just thought I was stupid, and it wasn't like that at all. It was just I used to scream in my mind, "Why is everything so goddamn hard?" And never understood it until I got older, and then I realized that, to varying degrees, I was learning disabled. I had trouble learning basic things, like how to tie a shoe. I still can't tie a shoe. Still can't tie a seatbelt right, a necktie. I can't get my mind around it. You could show me 1,000 times.
Do you hope that when people read this book, they get a better understanding of all this stuff, like what you
Yes.
went through, and what is like the singular message that you really hope hits home the most?
I dedicated it to kids that were physically abused, sexually abused, and dedicated it to them because I know there's lots of people that had it way worse than me, and hopefully they'll be reading and they'll go, well, geez, this guy made it out on the other side. He figured it out somehow and hung in. And I'm hoping that it inspires people that are in trouble, that are sitting there in trouble, thinking of suicide or doing drugs or drinking. I hope that it helps lift them out of that, to know that they're not alone. They weren't, there are many people that are going through stuff.
Do you feel like you wrote any part of this like directly to your younger self, like trying to speak to your younger self?
Yeah, you do that. You do that. You wish that you had certain knowledge of the world and people, and it's amusing to go back and retrace your steps, like how you figured stuff out. Some of it just seemed like an impossibility, especially since I was a very abstract person. I mean, I was affected by sound, noises, dissonance. Uh, I felt attracted by frequencies. I still am, and it's what led me to being a musician originally, playing guitar and singing, and just it's all part of the same thing. Like voiceover work is like musicality. Like people say, "How do you remember these characters?" And it's not like I have to remember them. I have to remember how they go, how the music, the melody to the way they speak. And as soon as you remember that, the voice falls right back into place.
It's funny because that is something I've always wondered, like when you can just pull the voice out, and I know you've done it a million times, whether it's Fry or Stimpy or Doug or whatever, but getting the cadence down so fast, like whether you've done it 1,000 times or you've done it once, like that's always something for me that I just it amazes me. And same thing with music, like when you can remember a song on a tour, like I get you've sang the song a million times or you've performed it a million times, but to remember every note, every word,
Yeah.
especially the people that play and go, it mesmerizes me because I
Yeah,
don't I don't have that ability. Like
No.
I can't do that. I forget things immediately.
Um, it's a trade-off, I mean, there's a million things that I can't do.
I got one more thing for you here on the book
Mm-hmm.
itself. What do you think adults misunderstand the most about neurodivergent children overall? What do you think they misunderstand the most there?
Um, it depends on at uh, what level of the neurodivergence is. I mean, some people are on the high end of it and they are functioning. Some people are. It's hard to penetrate the behaviors. Um, in my case, I had all these gifts that I could never imagine. And I think that's the same with most autistic people, because they have gifts. There's storage rooms upstairs that normal, regular people just don't have. And once they find the key to it, it's the reason why a 3-year-old can crawl up onto a piano bench and play Moonlight Sonata, by Mozart or Beethoven. Or, I mean, it's like, where do these people come from? How does that happen? It's like gifts. It's like divinity. It's weird, but I have hope that people will find what their superpowers are, and I know that they exist.
You are one of my favorites of all time. I really
Thank you,
appreciate you being here so much.
Pleasure.
Thank you, Billy West, for joining the show.
Thank you.
Thank you, Billy West, for joining us. Thank you, John, for also being here and joining us. Remember, you can find John on the Crosstown Nine podcast, wherever you get your podcast, or on social media, wherever you get your social media. And make sure July 14th to go get Billy's book, Vice Versa. It'll be available everywhere. July 14th. So go grab that. Make sure you join our Discord if you haven't already. It is in the description, so you can join the Discord by clicking the link and join the conversation. You can see upcoming guests, join all the conversations with us. You can reach me directly, and just have some fun. All episodes are put there. All things that go on social are put there. Some sketching up stuff is going to go there, and also some Crosstown 9 stuff is going to go there. So if you want to be in the conversation or in the know, go ahead and join the Discord. It is in the link description. All the way around. It's in the description, in the link. Go ahead and click that. You can also follow us on social media, wherever you get your social media, at Mad Props Pod. You can get it Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, or what's the last one? X/Twitter. We post just about every day, if not every day. So if you want to see clips from the show, you can go ahead and find them there. We just passed 17,000 subscribers on YouTube. Thank you all so much for subscribing. We really appreciate it. I appreciate it more than anybody. A lot of hard work goes into this podcast. So for so many people to at least hit subscribe, whether you come back or not, hitting subscribe is helps us so much, and it helps us down the road. So thank you so much for doing that. Thank you all so much. We will see you next time. This has been Mad Props. Have a good one. See you later. Deuces.